this is the first test, and we go into that test fighting for...
1 minute ago, a document surfaced that Number 10 never expected to see daylight. Not a speech, not a memo, a running tally. 19 promises, 19 reversals, redlined, annotated, time-stamped. And as it spread across encrypted chats and newsroom inboxes, the streets began to move. Before we roll the footage, just one thing. If you enjoy our work, drop a like and hit subscribe. Over 98% of you are watching without subscribing. Let's change that right now. It's free for you, but it fuels everything we do. Subscribed, perfect. Now enjoy the video. This is not politics as usual. This is rupture. This is a government court mid-sentence changing its story again. Protesters didn't wait for permission. They poured into Westminster before dawn. Voices hoarse, banners shaking, chanting a single word on loop. U-turn, U-turn, U-turn. The Prime Minister once mocked opponents for flip-flopping. Tonight, that clip is everywhere. Reposted, remixed, weaponised. Consistency is leadership, he said back then. Calm, confident, absolute. That line now follows him like a ghost, because here's the inciting truth. Since taking office, the Prime Minister has reversed more core pledges than any modern leader in record time. Not quietly, not gradually, publicly, repeatedly, sometimes within weeks, sometimes within days, and the country noticed.
And we go into that
the first spark came from a leaked briefing circulating among civil servants. The Guardian referenced it cautiously. The BBC confirmed its existence without naming sources. Oxford policy analysts called it an unprecedented collapse of mandate. Social media did the rest. Within hours, hashtags were trending across platforms. Broken 19, a mandate gone. Like U-turn PM. By midday, crowds had swelled beyond Whitehall. By evening, Parliament was barricaded. Not by police alone, by tractors. Yes, tractors. Because this wasn't just an urban revolt. This was rural, industrial, elderly, young, a coalition of the furious. Let's begin with betrayal number one. The border. The promise was simple. Absolute. End illegal crossings, shut down the routes, restore control. It was repeated on stages, leaflets, debates. Yet the latest Home Office figures show daily arrivals surging between 400 and 1,000. Border Force insiders quietly admit the real number is higher, much higher. Approvals have been fast-tracked by 55%. Hotels are full. New ones are opening weekly. Across coastal towns, residents report groups moving freely, undocumented, unsupported, invisible to the system. That isn't administrative failure. That is a breach of trust. A former Home Office advisor told the BBC, "We've gone from deterrence to processing at speed." That was never the mandate. His words were clipped. His tone wasn't. Then came safety, or rather the collapse of it. The Prime Minister pledged to crush knife crime, to dismantle grooming gangs, to restore law without fear or favour. Instead, the numbers exploded. Machete attacks crossed 1,200 incidents in a single month, a historic high. Police unions say the real figure is uncountable. In certain districts, patrols pull back quietly, strategically. Officers admit they lack political cover. We're told to manage optics, one sergeant said, not outcomes. Write in the comments if your city has streets like this. People already are. Across London, Birmingham, Belfast, communities are locking doors before sunset. Parents escort teenagers to bus stops. Tourists cancel trips. Corporations relocate. London, once a magnet, is now called the crime capital of Europe by international press. That was just the beginning. Labour promised to protect the vulnerable. Instead, winter fuel payments were stripped from 10 million pensioners in a single vote. No phased transition, no safety net. Energy caps surged. Bills followed. Parliament Square filled with elderly citizens holding cardboard signs. Heating or eating? That wasn't a slogan. It was a choice. At the same time, veterans slept in doorways, medals pinned to threadbare coats. Meanwhile, newly arrived migrants were placed in 3-star hotels, heated rooms, catered meals. paid for by the same taxpayers now choosing between warmth and food. That image broke something. Voters never demanded miracles. They demanded honesty. They did not vote for this inversion of priorities. The Prime Minister blames the past. Every speech circles back the previous government, the inherited mess. But his silence on his own ranks is louder than any accusation. Angela Rayner's resignation still hangs heavy. An £800,000 seaside property scandal dismissed as procedural. The public wasn't convinced, neither were Labour backbenchers. Then there's the budget, a £20 billion black hole. Not inherited, constructed. Rachel Reeves's figures are contested by independent economists. Business leaders call them inflated, convenient. Approval ratings collapsed by 24% in 3 months. Trust evaporated faster. That's why Whitehall isn't chanting for reform. It's chanting for investigation. Supreme Court oversight, full inquiry. The word resignation echoes between buildings older than the state itself. And then came the tractors. The war on agriculture was never mentioned on the campaign trail. Yet the first budget introduced a family farm inheritance tax that shattered generations overnight. When a farmer dies, children face bills of hundreds of thousands, paper wealth, cash poverty. A Midlands farm might earn $40,000 a year. The tax bill can hit $400,000. Impossible, unsurvivable. So they drove. Convoys from Cornwall, Yorkshire, the Fens, tractors rolled into London at dawn, blocking Parliament Square, choking supply routes. Not hooligans, farmers, families. This isn't protest, one farmer told Sky News. It's survival. Food security warnings now echo through Westminster corridors. This is civil disobedience with a plough. And while the countryside revolts, the cities buckle under another reversal. Prison overcrowding, early releases, thousands freed ahead of schedule. The result was predictable. Violent reoffending spiked, knife crime surged again. A former chief prosecutor who once promised zero tolerance authorised the release. Another U-turn, another consequence. But nothing has fuelled rage like the economic deception. The promise not to raise taxes on working people was the cornerstone. Repeated, written, broadcast, then came the hike.
This is the first
national insurance
test,
for employers, a jobs tax by another name. Businesses froze hiring, cut bonuses, closed doors. A 3-generation logistics firm in the Midlands shut down last month. The owner's final statement went viral. We survived recessions. We cannot survive this government. 73% of voters now say the government lacks a mandate. 62% believe the Prime Minister lied to win office. Those aren't activist polls, they're mainstream. This is what happens when pledges collapse at scale. The system doesn't bend, it snaps. Borders surrendered, streets unsafe, pensioners freezing, farmers taxed out of existence, workers paying more for less. And then came the scandal that turned anger into cynicism. Parliamentary registers confirm over £100,000 in personal gifts accepted by the Prime Minister. Designer clothing, luxury hospitality, all while preaching restraint. One rule for them, protesters chant, another for us. Flares lit outside Downing Street as police lines tightened, shop windows boarded up, high streets braced for unrest. The youth joined next. Tuition fees, abolish them, the manifesto promised. Instead, they rose to 9,500. Student-led protests erupted across campuses, spilling into city centres, merging with wider unrest. Police resources stretched thin. Commanders admit they are firefighting, not policing. Then the black hole narrative returned. 22 billion, the Treasury insists. Critics dispute it. Business leaders warn the cure is worse than the disease. Farmers block roads, students block bridges, pensioners block pavements. This is not fragmented dissent. This is convergence. Add to that the quiet transfer of the Chagos Islands without parliamentary vote. Another pledge abandoned. Another sovereignty question unanswered. Britain now operates under 2 legal codes, one enforced, one negotiated. Authority fades when it picks sides. The Home Office claims progress. The streets tell a different story. Every blocked road is a verdict. Every unanswered call is evidence. And beneath it all lies the deepest betrayal. Integrity. Standards were promised to be restored. Service before self. Yet greed surfaced fast. Gifts accepted. Questions dodged. Accountability deferred. Trust didn't erode. It collapsed. Young voters feel abandoned. Workers feel punished. Rural Britain feels targeted. The elderly feel disposable. You can fix a policy. You can revise a budget. But when a nation believes power was obtained under false pretences, the crisis becomes existential. If this is year 1, what does year 9 look like? Tonight, Britain isn't whispering, it's shouting, demanding answers, demanding change, demanding an end. So here's the question that hangs over Westminster like fog. Has the Prime Minister lost the right to govern, or does he still deserve time? Another question follows close behind. Can a government survive when its promises collapse faster than its credibility? And the final one cuts deepest. Is this the beginning of reform or the prelude to resignation? Stay with us. Subscribe,
We've got to rebuild
because whatever happens next, it won't be quiet.